Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
In the silent dawn of human civilization, when the stars were still believed to speak and mountains whispered to men, ancient scribes recorded a story so haunting that it would echo through time in secret whispers and forbidden scrolls. It is a story of divine beings descending from the heavens, not to bless mankind, but to share with them the knowledge that the Creator had kept beyond mortal reach. This knowledge, once unleashed, changed the course of human destiny forever. While much of the world has forgotten this tale or deemed it heretical, one place preserved it with unbroken faith and reverence: Ethiopia. Hidden within the Ethiopian Book of Enoch lies the record of the angels who defied God, who loved human women, and who revealed the secrets of heaven to humanity, secrets that were never meant to be known. The story begins in the primeval age before the Great Flood, a time when the boundary between the divine and the human was fragile and thin. According to the Ethiopian Enoch, a group of celestial beings known as the Watchers were appointed by God to guard and observe humanity. These Watchers were not evil at first. They were holy sentinels whose purpose was to watch over the world and maintain the order of creation. Yet, as they beheld the beauty of human women, desire stirred within them, a desire that would lead to the first rebellion not of pride, but of passion. The leader among them was Samjaza, a powerful archangel whose name means the one who sees. Under his leadership, 200 angels descended upon Mount Hermon, taking oaths together that they would share in a sin that none dared commit alone. This descent, called the Descent of the Watchers, marks one of the most dramatic and tragic moments in early biblical cosmology. Once upon the earth, the Watchers took wives among human women, and from their unions were born giants known as the Nephilim. These offspring, described as mighty, violent, and ravenous, brought corruption and chaos to the world. But it was not only through their offspring that evil spread. The Watchers, in their pride and affection, began teaching humanity the knowledge of heaven, the arts, sciences, and mysteries that God had reserved for the angels. This act was the origin of what Enoch calls forbidden knowledge, knowledge that could create or destroy, enlighten or enslave. Each angel imparted a specific secret. Azazel taught the making of swords, knives, shields, and breastplates, introducing warfare to a once peaceful humanity. He also revealed the art of cosmetics and jewelry, teaching women how to paint their faces and adorn themselves, acts which the text interprets as the corruption of natural beauty. Samjaza instructed the art of enchantments and root cuttings, the foundations of what would become sorcery and witchcraft. Others taught astrology, the movements of the stars, and the signs of the earth. Penemu taught writing, Castaja taught the use of herbs for abortion and seduction, and Barakiel revealed the secrets of the lightning and the weather. What had been given to angels for the order of creation was now misused by mortals for domination and excess. Humanity, once innocent, began to wield powers that brought destruction and despair. According to Enoch's record, the earth was defiled, and the cries of the afflicted reached heaven. God, beholding the corruption, sent the archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, to intervene. They bound the Watchers beneath the mountains of the earth, imprisoning them in eternal darkness, while their giant offspring perished in the flood. Yet their spirits, the Book of Enoch says, lingered as evil entities upon the earth, becoming the origin of unclean spirits that plague mankind to this day. The Ethiopian Enoch, known as one Enoch in academic circles, is the only complete version of this ancient text to survive in its entirety. Written in Guizi, the classical liturgical language of Ethiopia, it was preserved for millennia by the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. While fragments of the same text were found among the Dead Sea Scrolls in Qumran, these fragments were in Aramaic and Greek, showing that the book was once known in ancient Judea. Yet, after the rise of Rabbinic Judaism and the consolidation of the Western Christian canon, the Book of Enoch vanished from the Bible everywhere except Ethiopia. Its content, filled with celestial visions, angelic rebellions, and divine secrets, was deemed too mystical, too dangerous, and perhaps too revealing about the hidden order of the cosmos. The story of the forbidden knowledge is more than myth. It reflects the ancient understanding that knowledge itself is a double-edged gift. The Enochian traditions suggest that the fall of the Watchers was not simply about lust or rebellion, but about the misuse of knowledge. It speaks of a time when wisdom was divine property, not to be grasped by mortals without consequence. This idea parallels the story of Adam and Eve in Genesis, where the tree of knowledge was forbidden, and the act of tasting its fruit led to exile from paradise. In both stories, Divine knowledge is the boundary between creator and creation, and crossing it brings chaos. Yet the Ethiopian Enoch expands the narrative, portraying the Watchers as mediators of this knowledge, both teachers and transgressors, illuminating humanity even as they condemn it. Historically, this narrative may have roots in ancient Mesopotamian mythologies, particularly those concerning the Apkallu, semi-divine sages said to have taught humans wisdom before a great flood. The Apkallu were associated with both divine instruction and human hubris, much like the Watchers. Some scholars argue that the Enochian Watchers represent a Hebrew reinterpretation of older myths about divine beings who transmitted civilizations' arts and sciences. However, unlike the Mesopotamian view, which often portrayed such instruction positively, Enoch's version casts it as rebellion, suggesting a theological shift toward the idea that not all knowledge is good or safe for humankind. The Ethiopian tradition, however, did not treat this book merely as a myth. For centuries, the Book of Enoch was read and revered as a sacred text that revealed the hidden structure of heaven and the history of fallen angels. Ethiopian monks saw in it a warning against pride and disobedience, but also an insight into divine mysteries. They viewed Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah, as a prophet who walked with God and was shown the secrets of creation. The text portrays Enoch as a mediator between heaven and earth, chosen to witness the judgment of the Watchers and to record their deeds. He is depicted being taken up into heaven, where he learns the workings of the sun, moon, and stars, the movements of angels, and the laws of the cosmos. Through him, humanity learns that all things are known to God and that even the mightiest of angels cannot escape divine justice. Over time, fragments of this story reappeared in later traditions. In the Jewish mystical texts known as the Zohar and Kabbalah, references to fallen angels and hidden knowledge echo Enoch's account. In early Christian thought, traces of the Watcher's story appear in the Epistle of Jude, which quotes directly from Enoch, saying, "Behold, the Lord comes with 10,000 of his saints to execute judgment." The influence even reached Islam, where the Quran speaks of angels Harut and Marut who descended to Babylon and taught humans sorcery as a test. Though separated by geography and language, these traditions all seem to preserve the same ancient memory, that divine beings once walked among men, sharing secrets too great to bear. The Ethiopian preservation of this tale is more than historical happenstance. It represents a different vision of Scripture itself. Whereas Western Christianity often sought to control and standardize divine knowledge, Ethiopian Christianity kept alive a more expansive and mystical heritage. The Ethiopian monks did not fear the complexity of the heavens. They embraced it. For them, the story of the Watchers was not just about sin, but about the mystery of God's justice and mercy. Even the fallen angels were not beyond redemption in the cosmic balance, for their punishment served as a lesson to all creation. Modern discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls in the mid-20th century vindicated Ethiopia's ancient guardianship of Enoch. Scholars were astonished to find that the same text long dismissed as Ethiopian folklore was, in fact, part of the oldest layers of Jewish scripture. The fragments match the Ethiopian version almost word for word, confirming that this book had once circulated widely among ancient Hebrew communities. The world realized that Ethiopia had preserved not a legend, but a lost chapter of humanity's sacred history. What had been hidden in the highlands of Africa was, in truth, a key to understanding early biblical thought and the origins of angelology, demonology, and apocalyptic prophecy. Today, the story of the Watchers continues to fascinate theologians, historians, and even scientists who explore its symbolic implications. It raises questions that remain deeply relevant. Is there knowledge that humanity should not possess? Are we, in our pursuit of technological mastery, repeating the same transgression that once brought the flood? Just as the Watchers gave men the knowledge of weapons and enchantments, modern humanity wields tools that reshape nature itself. The ancient warning of Enoch echoes with renewed force in an age where the boundaries between creation and creation's manipulation blur once more. The Ethiopian Enoch stands as both scripture and cautionary tale. It reminds us that light, when taken without reverence, becomes fire that consumes rather than illuminates. The angels who descended to teach forbidden knowledge were not mere rebels. They were beings who sought to elevate humanity, but fell through pride and passion. Their story reveals that even divine beings can err when love turns to lust and wisdom to ambition. And yet, in their downfall, they expose the eternal truth that knowledge alone is never enough. It must be guided by righteousness, or it destroys what it seeks to perfect. Thus, from the sacred hills of Ethiopia comes a voice older than empire, older than doctrine, whispering that not all enlightenment is holy and not all darkness is evil. It is the voice of Enoch, the man who walked with God, warning that the heavens remember the sins of angels and men alike. And it is through Ethiopia's faith that this warning still lives, undimmed through centuries, reminding every seeker that there are gates of knowledge which must be approached with awe, not at all.